everybody. It's Laura Eisenhower. I am joined today by Melanie Aguirre, Brad Olsen, and Lily Nova. We are all a part of this incredible gathering at Chaco Canyon, and we've come together to talk about this beautiful event that we're going to be co-facilitating in this most sacred land. And we just did a roundtable recently with the Chinos and also Kevin Estrella, who are going to be there as well. And now we're bringing in Brad Olsen and Lily Nova, who are also going to be speakers. And yeah, I just want to hand it over to you, Melanie, because you're the creator and visionary behind this event. And then I'd like to hear from everybody about what you're contributing and a little bit about yourselves.
Sure. Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much for hosting today. We are going to be covering the Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, U.S. Sacred Site Tour. We're going to have live speaker workshops, CE5 meditation, and Skywatch. We're going to have astrophotography, which we'll get into, galactic sound baths, activations, connecting with guardians, ancient ancestors, star beings, activations, downloads, camp out retreats. And so we're just going to connect with ourselves, back with Earth, back to the site, back to the stars. And so it's going to be an amazing event. That's going to be June 30th and July 1st of 2025. And if anyone's interested, just to say real quick, the website is quantumdisclosureproject.com. And we are a new founding nonprofit as of this weekend. And so I guess, thank you. And just this, I guess a quick overview about me, if anyone doesn't know about me. I do quantum healing hypnosis, trance channeling, Reiki, psychic abilities classes, and much more. So I thought we'd kind of create an event that would bring us star seeds and light workers together to not only reconnect with the education that we're teaching each other in workshops and programs and these other events we're sharing, but we're getting our boots on the ground, right? We're getting our hands dirty. We're actually doing the work and putting what we do in action and motion. So I'm very excited to have Lily Nova and Brad Olsen also here so we can introduce them as well. Whoever wants to jump in first.
Go ahead, Brad.
Oh, I'd say ladies first, Lily.
Okay, that's fair enough. So I'm Lily Nova. I do kind of a bit of a range of things. For anybody who does not know me, I actually got started through space photography back in 2020. Whenever lockdowns hit, I started shooting space photography every single night out under the stars. I learned how to use a camera very, very well, and I was studying the stars, literally just out there every single night. And as that progressed, I soon began being visited by UFOs, and me not knowing really anything besides, some ancient alien stuff from back in the day. I was not in the UFO community. I wasn't really in the spiritual community. I began documenting these craft with my camera, and then they began communicating with me. So they taught me how to make contact and what I would later, the term CE5, really human initiated contact. And they helped activate psychic abilities for me. And so telepathy ensued, and a lot's transpired since then. I've met a number of different galactic beings. And more recently, my energy kind of shifted from documenting the evidence and the proof of them through my camera to then learning more of the spiritual aspects, which these beings taught me that, how to tap into psychic abilities. And they taught me about remote viewing, about kind of our hidden history and our hidden DNA. And more recently, I've really been focusing on sacred sites and grid work. So which is so I'm super excited to be a part of this event because I've actually really been wanting to go to Chaco Canyon. I was just talking about it right before you reached out to me. So I was already planning on going, so I'm super excited about this. I just recently moved to Sedona, so I've been doing a lot of work with the vortexes here in the land here. I also do spiritual transformation and vortex tour retreats in Mount Shasta. So right now I'm doing Mount Shasta and Sedona. I'll be doing Mount Shasta during summer, but But yeah, I'm just super excited. There's so much untapped wisdom hidden at these sacred sites. And I feel we're doing really important work by gathering at these sacred sites, and we're helping to kind of unveil what's been going on there and what's hidden at these sites, but also tapping into the energy there can be profound for personal transformation and just remembrance of who we are and where we're going, as well as helping to kind of reactivate some of these spots, which will help propel us into an ascension.
Yes, Lily, what type of activation will you be leading for us?
So, a lot of people want to make contact with their star families, and I'm pretty good at helping to facilitate that. uh, Helping to get people into like a meditative, kind of calm and balanced, heart-centered state and raising their vibration where that's more possible. So I'll probably do some sort of a guided meditation activation to connect with that, but as well as connecting with our higher selves in our heart space. And I'll kind of also just like feel out the group and see what comes through at that time. But I'm sure we'll have ships that will come out to say hello. That often happens whenever we get together, so that will be fun. And we'll just kind of see where it takes us.
Hopefully it takes us off the planet. I'm just kidding.
Right?
Just kidding. Brad, thank you for being with us on the Chaco Canyon event. I'm really excited to have you as a historian and someone who's written about Chaco Canyon. So tell us more about the history of what you know about Chaco Canyon and what you can do for us there as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of my favorite sacred places on the entire North American continent for many reasons, which I'll get into great detail when I discuss it with their cool audience who's going to be there for this live event. This is amazing because we're all going to be there. And as you see, Lily and Laura and you, Melanie, are all great storytellers. And that's really what it's all about because that's where it all began. So, this kind of event where we can all gather and do the group meditations and also stand around the fire and tell stories, but also walk the site. And this is what's really always been of my very dear interest. And I've done my whole series of books on sacred places. This is the CCC Publishing Catalog. And the very first book is Laura Eisenhower, Awakening the Truth Frequency. So we work together in that capacity. And then I do a bunch of books on esoteric series. But I began this career really investigating sacred places worldwide. As Lily said, that there is an etheric grid of ley lines that do interconnect across the whole planet. And to go to some of those nodes happens to be where you have a large majority of these sacred places that were recognized by our ancients. Now, that's what really fascinates me about Chaco Canyon, because when you're in there and you can investigate the archaeology, then you're seeing that this was the capital city of the Anasazi people. Although Clifford Mahoney would correct me and say that's the A word to the ancestral Puebloans, who are the Hopi, the Zuni, the ancestral Puebloans is how they prefer to be called. And so the ancestral Puebloans, who was this Chaco culture, this was the Washington, D.C. capital valley, largest kiva, largest Pueblo great house with roads that interconnected from Chaco Canyon, sometimes in a perfectly straight line, to the other great houses that were scattered a dozen or so miles away, enough to be able to walk within a day. This was before there were even horses on the continent. Horses were introduced to North America by the Spaniards in the 15th century. Never had been horses before, but the Native American people took to these animals and became among the greatest horsemen in known history because of their animal husbandry. So when we really get into the Native American culture and lore of these locations, I think this is when the story gets really good.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And so one of the questions and curiosities that I just most recently learned about Chaco Canyon is that there's a one or couple burial sites there that are kind of spoken of but unspoken of. And so do you have any
Ah.
information on that?
So I did visit it one time, but only one time. I'm looking forward to coming back. That I did not even get up to the Fajita Butte. And so we should plan to do an excursion there, if not get up to see it, because we'll be there just a week after summer solstice. So we might still be able to see the way the sun creates a sun dagger and shows the petroglyph up atop the Fajita Butte. I'm not sure how accessible it is if we can make a promise to do that, but at least we could walk out there and hopefully see it from a distance, if not being able to climb up and check it out, because that shows that the ancestral Puebloans had a very keen understanding of the archaeoastronomy, not only of this location, because they're creating a petroglyph where only it's illuminated on the summer solstice. So they're keeping track of time. And this is very important to understand for primitive people, so called native primitive people, that they were already keeping track of the celestial movements. And that shows a very high sophistication in their knowledge.
Right, definitely. And that brings us to Laura with her astrology
Yeah.
and her knowledge of the stars. And so what can you tell us, Laura, about the astronomy and alignment of that location if you have anything yet to share?
Well, we're all going to have a different connection with the lines and the energies based in our own, zodiac chart. But what's really incredible about Chaco, and then, you guys really explained it, it's a major activation point braided with Mexico and Peru. And when we look at the planetary grid network and the reversal grid technology that put everything in this sort of reversal spin, this hijacking of the Sophionic body has been in desperate need of restoration. And so when you're called to a land like this, when people come to the sacred site and recognize this, you almost act as a tuning fork, and you begin to offset where this hijacking has occurred, and it spreads out to these other locations, and it connects to higher star systems like the Pleiades and Orion, and very much what Brad was saying about it being kind of like a Washington, D.C., just kind of like the central point. Yeah, I mean, looking at the North Node, as far as what we're experiencing currently in our astrology, the North Node is conjunct in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces. Saturn's been in Pisces. And it's been very much about anchoring and grounding, energies connected to the multidimensional, connected to our true galactic origins, and our true divine template, which is a mirror or a reflection of the planetary grid network, the original planetary grid network. So what we're able to do in these times is flip the inversion of Saturn, where it's been controlling and authoritarian and creating energy blocks, where stargates have become dormant, where these reversal grid technologies have harvested and siphoned and used the planetary chi, I guess you could say, and our own life force to battery up these engineered timelines and artificial timelines. So when we are mindful and conscious and we're showing, and holding intent and communing deeply, with the land and the ancestors, and how this spiral is connected to our own DNA, we begin to, reconnect, and we become conduits, and we receive and give to, Mother Earth, and create this correction of the Sophionic body. So with Neptune and Pisces so strong, with this North Node that we're experiencing, a lot of people will feel the dissolution and the dissolving of the dark Saturn and the inversions coming up in maybe triggers or just ancestral lineage blocks, programmings. And so it's really a beautiful space to share together, to invite that to come to the surface, to like collapse it, to dismantle it, so that Saturn can become the container of the multidimensional instead of the oppressor. And when we do that, we help the energy circulation of the cosmic and earthly forces spin in the direction of ascension. And there's guardian covenants that are connected to this particular part of the world, Chaco Canyon and these other sacred sites, to return to these areas and do this conscious grid work. And I feel this is a really critical and important time for us to do this. And so all of you that are called to come and join us, you know, it's a space, a sacred space to be transparent and to, really breathe through, this initiation and these activations that will help to remove this from your own system so that when you go home, you're also generating this into the field, impacting the areas that you live. So, what I can do in my workshops is help people to understand their particular relationship with Chaco based in the line of energy of Chaco Canyon in relationship to their own zodiac and blueprint and natal chart. And it's not going to be the same for everybody, but we all are bringing in very important pieces.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And I love how you say that we are going to be taking this home with us, because you're right. We're not just light workers and star seeds and feel like we're hybrids, but we are part of the grid of this new era and program of awakening through this new shift. We are at a spiritual war, right? So we're returning, and I'd like to bring Lily in and kind of discuss how some of us can feel like hybrids, not completely human but not fully ET. We're in this mission work, and so how do you feel your connection with the stars and other extraterrestrial beings has really changed your life into developing into your contact work that you are guiding people through?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, we are all here for a purpose, and we're all very old souls. And a lot of the beings here that are working with us and assisting us, some of them are us from other timelines, other dimensions. Many of them are actually. So it's not like looking at them as something outside of us. And so that it's just been incredibly transformative, remembering who I am through my contact sessions. And they've also really helped to facilitate a lot of soul growth and healing. So that's incredibly important. The activation of our divine DNA, the reactivation of these nodal points and these stargates and things like that. I've been really focused on that over the past year, and really just like recently. Like it feels like it's like crunch time now. Like people are being called to these different sites for a reason. And you hold activation codes. So this is like a contract, I feel like, that you made before this. There's a reason why you may feel called to going to some of these sites. You have something for this site, and this site has something for you. So you may be picking up like a soul fragment. I just had a really beautiful experience at kind of a hidden area in Sedona near Cathedral Rock. And Laura, what you were just saying really reminded me of it, because so it was kind of this I call it like it's an inner earth entrance, but it was dormant. The information I was getting as I put my hand on it was that it had been turned off because of these dark forces and dismantled. And I was there and instructed to put my hand there and to meditate there, because I had something literally like in my hands and in my frequency to help activate that. And others too. I took my retreat last week there, and a couple other people had very intense emotional experiences. It's because you've been to these places before, you have past lifetimes at some of these places. You may have lost soul fragments in some of these spaces. So we've kind of really fragmented with this spiritual war going on and this galactic war that's been going on for a very long time. And we're calling those pieces back home to us and becoming whole, repairing the grid like Laura was talking about. And yeah, it's just fantastic. Like it makes things exciting, and then you get glimpses of what this beautiful reality and this beautiful planet that we have all around us, and even these 5D energies and higher dimensional beings can come through photos, and you can have these magical experiences, especially at these sacred sites, but anywhere really. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, it does. It does. I think it's all comes back down to just remembering who we are and why we're here.
Mhm.
We're educating each other, we're sharing our knowledge with one another. And it's not something we often get to do, right? Because we're so involved with helping other people that are still new to this realm. And so it's a reunion in itself, and it's it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be fun. So, is there anything else that you would like to share about what you think about the event, or what people should know about the event?
Me personally,
Anybody? Yes.
anybody?
Yes. Yes.
I'll just add, like I said, I really feel like it's like crunch time right now. Like more and more people are being called to these certain places, and we're doing massive, massive work with the grid and activating things. I just recently went to Egypt, and the things that I saw there blew my mind whenever I tapped into it psychically. Like we're in a whole like the planet isn't what you think it is, what I thought it is. I'm still learning, but it looked like a huge kind of like time ascension machine. And maybe Laura can speak on that some more, but that's kind of what I saw in this interdimensional way under the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. And that connects to sites all across the planet. And it's like it's being reactivated and turned on. And I feel that's going to propel us into ascension, essentially. Laura, I'm kind of curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's all connected. It's just very much like the way our physical body works. I mean, our DNA, the 12 tree grid, is connected to the 12 strand DNA. And these overlays that put the grid network in reversal, and the final collapse of Atlantis, really through the pyramid technology off center, in connection with the star systems, and just the way that the energetic flow, moved through the planet. And that's why it was easier to have advanced civilizations. It wasn't so dense. It wasn't like there was this covert group like we've been dealing with, that are harvesting and siphoning from behind the scenes to generate these artificial timelines. And we're just born with amnesia, and we just don't realize, what's going on. We see these sacred sites, and it's like, wow, okay, that's our ancient past, but it's breathing and it's alive. It's right now. It's right here and right now. It's in our bodies. It's in our galactic memories. It's in our dormant DNA. So the dormant stargates and the reversal grids have also impacted us in how we've been, just not in our full expression as humans. And so when we really connect, like you have, and feeling that when you go to these sites, and you feel these dormancies, or you feel these blocks, or you feel these currents, that need to be spun in a proper direction, it's a person that's awakened, that is not in the programming that would just maybe be in the tourism trap, that is just going unconsciously and just seeing everything, but not really connecting. Because there's all sorts of other ways to, kind of capture a person's attention away from what's actually really going on. Like you said, like what we see in this world, there's so much hidden, there's layer upon layers. And when we see like this core group of light stealers that have harvested this energy, to create timeline, that we don't want to be on, we realize that to dismantle that dark weaponry is to embrace and understand the true architecture, of this planet, of the planetary grid network, of how our DNA is connected with that, and how that circuitry goes to all these different locations, Uluru, Giza, Machu Picchu, Teotihuacan, Chaco, all these, particular points. They're like, these points on our bodies, when we do acupuncture, when we have energy blocks, or we're, digressing and we're aging really fast. I mean, it's sort of like the planet and us has been caught in this, simulation that's been based in harvesting. So to unlock it and to free ourselves of it within our own consciousness is to also communicate with the earth and its memory of itself and set it free. And it's already doing it. The planetary alignments are making that possible. But for us to experience it and walk that path with her, that mindfulness and consciousness awareness of it, is how we can, connect to these sites and experience the activations and the upgrades. And it's an exchange. It's a reunion, because we're in relationship with creation instead of this inverted matrix that people have formed a dependency bond with. And then that's where everybody just sees everything as, oh, that's just the ancient history, or that's just the past, or these are just monuments, and that's just old history. It's like, no, it's rebirthing itself. It's rebirthing itself through us and our remembrance.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And so with that, I would like to add that I personally have a connection past, we can say past life connection or, other timelines, but I feel I'm deeply connected with Chaco Canyon. I try to visit there at least once a year if I can. And I've captured spirits on camera. And so I know that there's a lot of paranormal activity there. Like you said, it's not old, it's not dormant, it might be overlooked, right? As you said, tourism might just walk through and spend a few hours and then move on, but we're there to reactivate, reconnect, clear those old constructs and programs, because you are right. We are basically clearing these pressure points, not just within ourselves, but within this earth, which continues and carries on throughout our work as we go on. And so I would like to ask Brad if he feels personal connection to Chaco Canyon energetically, or perhaps in an alternate timeline. Like, how do you feel connected to Chaco Canyon?
Oh, when you go there, you have what's known as the power of the place. And it's one of those things that's very interpersonal and very subjective. So for me to talk about my connection is based on a dream I had the night I spent there. I got there late. It was already dark and I was just car camping. So I just decided to pull into the campground and tuck somewhere where I could just get up in the morning and start touring the site, which I did. And while I was dreaming, I felt like I had been visited by a shaman. It's very subjective. It's just me telling you how I felt. But the next day, when I was walking through the canyon, I felt I was being guided and I knew my way around, and it seemed very familiar. So that's why I say I think this is one of my all-time favorite sacred places, really up there with the megaliths of Peru, with Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and even the Great Pyramids. It is North America's major node of this kind of sacred energy. And what I'm going to get into in my workshop is, how did the ancients know that? How are they able to choose these locations out? And what is it about this power of the place that they recognized enough to put their capital right in the middle of Chaco Canyon with all roads leading out? So it was the Rome of its day. And it was a very sophisticated culture with trade that extended all across North America into South America and Central America, as well as the Caribbean, because there have been offerings or trade items that have been found, including a feather of a macaw parrot, that this particular one comes from South America, clams from the Gulf of Mexico, and a whole lot of trade items with Mexico, as well as all the way across North America. And one of the big trade items was obsidian, which is a stone that's volcanic. It's very glass-like, but it can be used very easily to create arrowheads and spearheads out of obsidian stone. So there was a very robust trade that went through Chaco Canyon, mainly trading the obsidian from parts of North America west, mainly Wyoming was one of the biggest quarries up by Yellowstone, up where Laura is. And they would bring it down, and then they would come back with other trade items. And Chaco Canyon was right in the center of that. And then we also factor in the ball game that also ties in with the Mayans, that they would play this particular ball game that's found in a lot of sites in the Southwest, is also intriguing and shows this interconnection of culture with a lot of other high cultures of Central America.
Very cool. What about you, Melanie?
Oh man, what do you want to ask?
What do you
Oh,
think about it? Yeah.
yeah. Any final thoughts about just the location or just what you're going to do when we're there?
Sure. So I have a couple of things in mind as far as the location. Like I said, I love being there. I try to go every year. I'm originally from New Mexico, and so it's just one of those sites I attend to continually. But one of the things I would really like to do there is connect with any dormant activation location or portal, we should say, that might need clearing, really to connect us back to the stars, connect this location back to itself, reactivate it and get its, blood pumping again, get the energy flowing and get that circulation going through why we're here. And I may or may not be doing a mini either live hypnosis regression or past life regression. So if anybody's interested in that, that is kind of uh, on a flip decision right now. I could do a little bit of both, but I really feel what I'm going to be bringing is just the remembrance and the activation of the DNA. So if anyone is wanting to know about not just their connection and just wanting to make further contact and work with their psychic abilities, what we're really doing is reconstructing our current blueprint and we are activating our mission, right? So we're going forward. And so I'm here to just kind of be a pillar of light and bring everybody together. And I think it's going to be an amazing event. The Chinos are going to be doing a galactic sound bath, and Kevin Estrella is going to be discussing the Ponte and his connection and his contact. And Sue Walker is also going to be speaking of her connection with the Ponte, and she's a telepathic communicator with those extraterrestrials and other interdimensional beings. So I'm just really excited to have everybody together, and it's going to be very transformative and memorable, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And so I think everyone should just bring, that thought of not having expectation, but just the ability to open yourself up to this mission work and groundwork that we're in, right? Because we're this ground crew and we're reuniting for a reason. And so anybody who is called for this is going to be called for a reason.
Beautiful. Awesome. So Chaco Canyon, June 30th to July 1st.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And the camping, the RV spots are taken, but there's still tent camping, right?
Yes, tent camping is still available. I will have to double check on the RV camping spaces, but as of right now, they're sold out. But yes, with the ticket price, it's $333. That includes your tent camping and the event itself. And so we have plenty of space. You can do car camping or tent camping.
Awesome. Well, great. I can't wait to see you guys. I can't wait to be in Chaco Canyon. It's been a long time since I've been there. Oh my goodness. So excited. So I hope you can join us at this wonderful event. Thank you guys so much for being with me today. And we'll see you next time.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.